Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Shrine of Anubis. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back, and nice to see you again. So, you might be wondering, what the fuck am I doing here right now with this video on a Monday? I know that I already posted a video last night, but there is something I've been thinking about today, which you already know by the title of this video. Are you losing friends over Anubis? Well, congratulations, because I've been there myself as well, and I want to talk with you today about this topic. Now, I could have waited until next Sunday to talk about it, but I just feel that right now is the moment to talk about this very specific topic. Where do I start? So, let me just start from the beginning, shall we? So, there has been times where I have confessed some people that were friends who are now no longer friends. They are either ex-friends or even enemies. People who I used to trust in when it comes to my spirituality, right? So typically, the scenario would be this. I would talk with a spiritual person, aka Karen or Kyle. And if your name is Karen or Kyle, well, whatever. I apologize. But let's say the first scenario was Karen. Karen was a friend that was in her 80s back in 2010, 2011. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that I have been working with Anubis for the past 10 years. And that was when I was starting to get to know him and kind of starting to work with him as well. So one day I confessed to her she was the leader of a spiritual ET group that communicated with a certain group of extraterrestrials. This woman was very different from another woman and another ET support group. This group was mostly about spirituality, but it started to become corrupted with religion. She started to implant evangelical belief systems into her channeling work. And so the alien, quote unquote, that she was channeling and talking through her, apparently, he was also giving religious belief systems and teachings to us. We were a very small group of 8 to 9 women. So it was kind of like a coven, but not really, because it had nothing to do with paganism. In fact, paganism was frowned upon in this group because it was a new age group. And so here I am on the corner, dressed in black. Well, it wasn't a physical group, it was a cyber group, but I've always dressed in black. So here I am, the oddball in the group, as always, talking and sharing with her my newest excitement, exploring my past lives, and getting to know Anubis. Oh my goodness gracious. That woman went absolutely insane with her Southern Texas accent. She was like, hell no. And I don't want to make fun of any Texan friends that I have around here. But I just find it very funny. All the ironies and the red flags that I didn't notice before when I was involved with her. And so in her Southern Texas accent, she tells me, hell no, Anubis is the devil. So that really didn't sit well with me because I have always loved him and I have always adored him. So insulting him and comparing him with the devil was something that I found super offensive back in the day. And so she started to like try to get me out of this pagan path because in her mind, Anubis wanted to corrupt me and turn me into his whore. And I'm laughing now, but back in the day, it was super offensive. I was crying. I was so hurt. I felt so betrayed because to me, she felt like a grandmother, like a very nurturing, kind hearted grandmother that I never had the chance to meet because in real life I never really met my grandmother. My grandmother passed away when my mom was about 14 years old. So I consider this woman to be a grandmother figure in my life, so it really hurt me, her betrayal and her hurtful words towards me about me exploring a new path that I was resonating with, and also a path that I wasn't really harming anybody because I wasn't into curses at the time. I was completely blind to that other half due to the new age programming. So, eventually, she continued her attacks towards me because I was working with Anubis and becoming even closer to him. Due to her constant attacks, I started to seek refuge in Anubis. And Anubis was the one who actually pushed me into leaving that group and abandoning everything that I once believed in. But at the same time, I didn't want to leave because, come on, they were all my friends, and especially her. I really love her and a couple of friends that I had in that group. Until one day, she quote unquote channeled this alien being that she was communicating with, who was her lover, quote unquote. And when I read this channeling, that she sent me as a message from this ET towards me. When I read his message, allegedly, that's when I noticed that it was all full of shit. Now, whether she was actually communicating with a genuine spirit or ET, I don't know. We don't know. No one really knows. I don't know either. It could have been true that in the beginning she was having contact with him, but eventually she started to taint this connection with her own religious belief systems. So I think that if there was a genuine connection with an otherworldly entity, she may have tainted that connection and infected it, which in turn it blocks out that entity and makes room for another entity that may be low vibrational in nature, who may be actually a manipulative spirit. But again, I don't know if that was the case or if she was always channeling a negative being who followed her religious programming to further manipulate her. So I don't know. Now, that was the first occasion that I lost quite a group of friends because of me working with Anubis. The second one happened recently, actually, a couple weeks ago, where I started this YouTube channel back in late February, and I started to share about it on my personal Facebook page with my friends. I started to share, hey, I made a YouTube channel dedicated to Anubis. If you want to know more about him, you can go here, etc., etc., etc. I was very excited to share this new project with my friends. And so there was this guy that I was getting close to that, uh, you know, how do I explain this? He wasn't exactly into the new age. He was more conspiracy minded. He was mostly into conspiracy theories. And I used to be there as well. However, I am now in a more neutral space and place with that. And I also am very discerning, so I don't believe in a lot of the bullshit that you see oftentimes around in this type of community, conspiracy theorists community. So it didn't sit too well with him that I came out as an Anubis worshiper and devotee, even though anyone that knows me knows that I have always been open about it on my personal pages across social media. There really is no other way around it. So I started to share about the Anubis channel. I started to post, share the videos of Anubis into my personal account. And he would always leave me snarky comments in those posts. Like, I don't care, or boring, or, bullshit. And so I knew that eventually things were not going to end too well between him and I. And so one time I did a curse on somebody, but I did not work with Anubis for this curse. I was actually working with another god from the Nordic pantheon, actually. And I almost set my home on fire. Why? It was a simple human mistake of adding flammable glitter into the spell. It was a candle work that I was doing, and I was sprinkling different things on it. And one of those things was flammable glitter, which I did not know at the time was flammable. Surprise! So that night, I woke up at 4 in the morning to the alarms going off in the entire apartment. And when I opened up my eyes, I immediately knew, oh my God, the candle in the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I saw the cauldron in the bathtub on flames. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And my mistake was pouring water from the shower head on it because I could have burned myself. I did not know that. So skipping forth that night, he started to blame Anubis for what happened. Even though I kept telling him and everybody who saw the work, the before and the after, that it was a human mistake from my part for using a flammable product that I did not know was flammable on the first place. But he kept blaming Anubis and saying how he was a dark force in my life that was beginning to manipulate me and to drift me away from my path, quote unquote. And so I started to realize that he was not exactly a friend because he was attacking me and my belief systems. But me being the peacemaker as always, I tried to give him a chance. So I was like, I will ignore him because I don't want our friendship to fall apart simply because of a disagreement or, not matching in personal spiritual beliefs. Until one day, I don't exactly remember how it all happened, but I must have shared something on my personal Facebook page that really triggered him. Oh, I remember. It was a political post. And anybody that knows me knows that I am not conservative. And so he was a conservative person. And so it's funny because my post had nothing to do with Anubis. It was a political post of things that some people don't like to see and admit. And so I was kind of like rubbing it in their face and being vocal about it, like I usually am. And so he shifts the conversation like a typical narcissist who gaslights you, denies what he said and did to you, and projects onto you his own attacks as if those attacks came from you. This is why other people don't believe you when you come out and say that you dealt with a narcissist, because the narcissist already manipulated everybody to go against you. So, in a nutshell, he turned a political conversation into a spiritual attack towards my belief systems, towards Anubis, and towards myself as a person. Saying again that all this bullshit of being led astray by a dark entity, quote unquote, blah, blah, blah. And so there was, of course, a couple of other things that I don't remember right now, and I won't get into detail anyways if I remember them anyways, because there is no point in remembering the bullshit, but it's a good reminder. And so I got angry that night. I was at 3 in the morning in my phone, texting, arguing with him on Facebook and defending Anubis. And I know that Anubis does not need to be defended, but I am territorial over him, and I perceive him also to be territorial over me as well. And unfortunately, I try not to be territorial over him, but I am. And so I attacked him, of course, in a polite way. I attacked him with facts like, well, apparently you don't know Egyptian history, because if you knew, you wouldn't be talking all this bullshit. So I was attacking him with facts, which he did not like, and so he unfriended me, and that's how it all ended. Because apparently he did not want to baby me around, because he did not have the time, because he is here to save the world. Where we go one, we go all, the Q cult and all that jazz. If you don't know what the Q group is about, you don't need to know. I'll leave it at that. But that's how our friendship ended. It was always a rocky friendship, and I knew it was going to end eventually. However, I was not expecting it to end because of Anubis again. But in a way, I can't complain, because Anubis always removes people from my space that are not in my highest good. And so the message in this long ass video that I want to share with you tonight is, if you're losing friends because of Anubis, congratulations! Welcome to the club. Do not feel bad for losing friends. Remember that the universe and Anubis and any other god, goddess that you work with will remove people that are not in your highest good. And so that is tonight's video, because it's already kind of nighttime. The sun already moved on and abandoned me, as always. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys these two experiences that I had where I've lost friendships because of Anubis, but it's always for my highest good. So if you're losing friends because of Anubis, please don't blame him. Analyze the situation, analyze the people involved, and see the dots that are connecting together to get a full grasp of the entire picture or situation. Remember that sometimes we go through things, lose people, and we don't know why. But eventually you will understand why this had to happen. Why were you supposed to move on from this person, or why this person left? It's all for your highest good. At least most of the time it is. But trust me, if you're losing friends because of Anubis, it's for your highest good. So I will leave you with that. And before I let you go, don't forget, of course, to subscribe to the channel, click on the bell button, and click on see all so that you get all the notifications of any future uploads that I'll be making on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye!